If you spent any time at all with an older female family member in the late 90s and early 2000s, you have definitely heard Savage Garden's music. Pretty much every household in Australia had one or both Savage Garden albums. The same can also be said if you had the radio on or watched music television shows such as Recovery or Rage during the same time period. Truly, Madly, Deeply, and To the Moon and Back were absolutely enormous and inescapable. You're likely hearing To the Moon and Back in your head right now. Despite Savage Garden failing to release any new music for more than 2 decades, their impact is still felt in Australians' ears, with radio stations still spinning their biggest hits today. As the turn of the millennium faded away, so too did Savage Garden. What happened to one of Australia's biggest pop exports? Stay a while as I take you through the rise and fall of Savage Garden. Savage Garden initially began as a spin-off from Red Edge, a band formed in Brisbane playing covers in 1992 with Daniel Jones on keyboards and rhythm guitar, his brother Oliver Jones on lead guitar and lead vocals, Jamie Sullivan on bass guitar and backing vocals, with his brother Scott Sullivan on drums. The middle of 1993 arrives. Daniel Jones places an ad in the Brisbane street press Time Off looking for a vocalist for the group. Little did Jones know that he was about to change Aussie pop music. Darren Hayes, who was studying at university and working as a record sales assistant, saw the ad and joined the band soon after his audition. The new lineup's first performance with Red Edge was in front of 4 people in Toowoomba. Their set included covers of Hurt So Good by Johnny Cougar, Let's Stick Together by Brian Ferry, K-San by Cold Chisel, and Don't Change by INXS. I'd love to see Darren Hayes do his best Jimmy Barnes impression. I wonder if that exists anywhere. The 5-piece version of the band continued to play pubs and clubs from southern Queensland to northern New South Wales, while Hayes and Jones were beginning to split off together to write original material. In June of 1994, Jones and Hayes left the group to work as a duo, originally under the name of Crush. By the end of the year, the duo had enough songs for a 5-track demo tape under the name Bliss. 150 copies were sent to numerous record companies around the world. They were renamed Savage Garden after a phrase from The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, with the quote being, "Beauty was a savage garden." Say what you will about their music, that is a great name. John Woodruff, talent manager at the time for the Angels, Baby Animals and Diesel, took the duo under his wing as their new talent manager, negotiating a contract with Roadshow Music. In 1995, Savage Garden entered the studio to work on their debut album with producer Charles Fisher, who had previously produced for Air Supply and Moving Pictures. Woodruff financed the recordings by drawing on his home's mortgage and taking personal loans in exchange for also becoming the group's record label representative and their music publisher. That's one hell of a gamble to make on an unproven duo, but boy was it about to pay off in a big way. In May of 1996, Savage Garden released their debut single, I Want You, under Roadshow Music. The song peaked at number 4 on the ARIA singles chart. At the end of 1996, the song had placed at the end of year singles chart number 12. On the 30th of September of the same year, the duo received their first ARIA Award nomination for Breakthrough Artist for I Want You. The local success created a buzz, drawing attention from international labels, eventually signing with Columbia Records in late November for overseas releases. Hayes and Jones stayed in a King's Cross hotel for 8 months, where they wrote songs for the debut album, which would be released in 1997. In November of 1996, Savage Garden's second single, To the Moon and Back, was released and reached number 1 in January of 1997 in Australia, a resounding success and proof that Woodruff's wager was going to pay off. I Want You was released overseas in North America in February of 1997, peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, achieving gold status by April according to the Recording Industry Association of America, or RIA. Truly Madly Deeply, the duo's third single to release in Australia, was released on the 24th of March of 1997, also achieving the number 1 spot, becoming their signature song. Later that month, the duo's self-titled debut album entered the Australian charts at number 1 and peaked there for a total of 19 non-consecutive weeks. The album landed overseas 2 weeks later, entering the Billboard charts at number 3. Break Me Shake Me, released as the 4th single on the 16th of June 1997, one of my personal favourites off of the album. Universe, Santa Monica, and Tears of Pearls released as singles to round out the cycle through the end of 1997, 1998, and 1999. It's incredible that after 2 decades of not hearing a lot of these songs, the memories of them came back to me fairly quickly. At the end of May 1997, To the Moon and Back was the most played song on radio in the United States. According to rock music historian Ian McFarlane, it revealed the influence of 1980s UK pop on Hayes and Jones' songwriting. Tears for Fears and Roxette melodies blended seamlessly with Eurythmics-like arrangements, while Cure-styled guitar provided the icing on the cake. Savage Garden won a record of 10 ARIA awards in September, including but not limited to Best Pop Release and Song of the Year for To the Moon and Back. The following year at the 1998 ARIA Awards, the album won 2 more awards, Highest Selling Album Award and Outstanding Achievement Award. The album went 12 times platinum in Australia, 7 times platinum in the US, diamond in Canada, and either gold, platinum, or multi-platinum depending on the country. By all accounts, an enormous, resounding global success. Just to show how important this album was, in October of 2010, the self-titled album was listed in the top 40 in the book 100 Best Australian Albums. In December of 2021, the album was listed at number 9 in Rolling Stone's Australia's 200 Greatest Albums of All Time countdown. After a 3-year gap between releases, Hayes and Jones were gearing up to unleash their second album. According to an Aussie music journalist, the album was basically written by phone and computer from their separate corners of the world, with Hayes residing in New York and Jones in Brisbane. The Animal song, the first single off of the upcoming album, appeared in February of 1999. The song was used in the rom-com The Other Sister, charting at number 3 in Australia and top 20 in the UK and US. I Knew I Loved You released as the second single in September of the same year, followed by the album titled Affirmation on the 1st of November 1999. The album released through the Columbia label, produced by Walter Afanasieff, who had previously produced for Ricky Martin and Mariah Carey. While not quite reaching the commercial and critical heights of their first album, Affirmation was still incredibly successful, shifting millions of units in the US and Europe, with more than 560,000 units moved in Australia. The album release was followed by 5 singles through 1999 to 2001, including Crash and Burn and The Best Thing amongst others. The Animal song and I Knew I Loved You were definitely played to death in Australia, as they're the 2 songs that I distinctly remember after looking at the track list. Savage Garden took out the Best Adult Contemporary Video and number 1 Adult Contemporary Song of the Year for I Knew I Loved You. I Knew I Loved You remained in the Billboard charts for 124 weeks. The duo also performed the song live during the 2000 Summer Olympics closing ceremony. Despite various reissues and a greatest hits throughout the years, this was the last album from the duo. At the end of 2001, there were rumours of the duo breaking up, with Hayes going on to become a solo artist and Jones going on to work on a record label that he had founded. The band went on a hiatus with a view to return around 2002. It wasn't meant to be, with the duo announcing they were breaking up for good in October of 2001. It appears that the split was amicable, but with the following statement released: "We are extremely grateful to our fans all around the world for their incredible support over the years. The success of Savage Garden and our time together has been an amazing experience, one that we'll never forget. We just hope that you all understand our individual needs to continue growing." Following the split, Hayes sat down for an interview with Music Max Network, where he said that a few weeks before the release of the second album, Jones didn't like the fame that the band was receiving and wasn't happy, and Hayes wanted to move on in the music industry as a solo artist. Decades later, in Hayes' memoirs, it turns out there was a fair amount of bad blood between the two after all, with Jones blaming Hayes for breaking up the band, which isn't true at all according to Hayes. They aren't friends as it stands today. Darren Hayes' first single as a solo artist, Insatiable, was released in January of 2002, and his debut solo album, Spin, followed in March of the same year. Several UK top 40 singles followed, including I Miss You, Strange Relationship, and Crush 1980 Me. Hayes released 4 more studio albums, with one as recently as 2022. Some of these albums were released through Columbia, and some were released through Hayes' own record label, Powdered Sugar. Although Hayes' solo endeavour wasn't as successful, he did and is still doing well for himself, with these albums charting pretty high up on the Australian and UK charts. Good on him for chasing his dreams as a solo artist and succeeding. In April of 2025, Hayes made a public statement that he was recovering from surgery after health issues, where he collapsed 3 times while trying to get out of bed on the 17th of March, 1 month earlier. Hayes incurred life-threatening injuries, shattering his left jawbone and several teeth and losing blood. He required reconstructive surgery with the use of a titanium brace. Hayes wanted to keep this private, but inevitably made it known to the public due to the extensive recovery period preventing him from working, including 2 months with his jaw wide shut. I wasn't aware of the details of Hayes' solo endeavour, but I'm not really the target audience here, rarely listening to the top 50 or what's on the radio. Daniel Jones' music career, on the other hand, did not last. In 2001, Jones built his own recording studio and launched the music label Meridian Music. The first act assigned to the label was Aniki, a duo consisting of Grant Wallace and Jennifer Waite. Meridian Music released their album Worlds in Places of Objects. Jones co-wrote 5 songs with Waite. Words in Places of Objects was the only music Aniki would release. In 2002, Jones worked with a second Australian duo called Bachelor Girl. also co-writing a song called Falling for their fourth and final album. In 2004, Jones helped produce for Australian pop rock musician Julie Strickland and the Australian act The Wish for their respective debut albums. Jones then did a complete 180, leaving the music industry, moving to Las Vegas, and diving headfirst into the real estate business. Even today, people are still talking about Savage Garden, with Reddit users having the following to say in response to someone saying that Savage Garden are underrated. I just added To the Moon and Back to my weekly playlist. An absolutely amazing album by an amazing duo. And if you think this band is underrated, you were seriously not alive in the late 90s. This band was inescapable. I still hear it being played on the radio, with one more stating, I love this album, but as an Aussie, it's wild to hear someone say it's underrated, haha, it was everywhere. Other people clearly have the same memories of the late 90s and early 2000s as I do. It's pretty clear that Savage Garden were absolutely enormous, way bigger than Daniel Jones could handle in terms of fame. The duo put out two of the biggest pop/soft rock albums, leaving their mark on Australian music history over 5 years, with the duo choosing to go their separate ways after growing apart, choosing to burn out bright and going out on top rather than fading away like so many artists and bands often do. This kind of pop/soft rock does not do anything for me, but if you've checked out this channel before this video, you'd know that I'm mostly into metal and sometimes hip hop. I can, however, respect the talent of this duo to put out so many massive songs, handling all of the writing between them. I don't think there'll ever be another duo like Savage Garden in Australia. Thanks for watching.